going to share with you my recipe on my herbal Zoom energy balls. This recipe was originally introduced to me in a book by Rosemary Gladstar, but I have changed it, modified it, and did different things. She gives you a base recipe to go by, and anyone can make them. It takes 15 minutes to prepare these, and you'll allow them to sit in the refrigerator 2 to 3 hours. You can cut them in squares or roll them into balls. So you might want to use something of a powder to where you can roll them up into it, because you'll have a dough that you'll be making. But I'm going to also add my Collegen Peptides along with my menopause herbal supplement. And if you're interested in the herbal supplement, I hand pack these myself at my shop. I'll put a link to that in the description box down below. It is a combination of over 13 herbs, and I put these in capsules so you can take them every single day. I'm going to go ahead and mix them into my blend so that they're ready made, and I can take a couple of these every day in addition to the healthy things I already do. So this is pretty much a conglomerate of all the things I may or may not place in it. But like I said, check the description box down below for the recipe, and it will give you a base to go by. So here they are, rolled, and I have put them into powdered sugar. You can cut them into squares or roll them into balls and place some powder on them, or even sesame seeds. Keep them refrigerated and take 2 at a time. These are your Zoom energy balls. Delicious. I've been working on the craft/office about some of the things that I do when I break things off in small chunks to avoid overwhelm. That my goal was to get to the closet. So I want to show you what I mean by small chunks. I have loaded up this tub, and I mean I've got it stacked high as I can get it, and it holds what's in it. As you can see, there's other bins stacked up on the actual tub. I've brought things out that are in a large capacity. I've got a couple of crates packed up, along with a couple of more bins on top of that. What I've done is I've brought it into an area that was uncongested, uncluttered, so that I can go through each one of these tubs and crates individually and determine what I want to keep, what is going to go, and kind of get it inventoried. Then I'll begin organizing it. That way I can truly tell what needs to go where and what size container I will need. You heard me correctly. What size container I will need. That is, if I even need one by the time I go through each one of them. Is not the best idea to get a bin prior to doing your inventory in your organizing. First, you want to evaluate everything that you've got. Tip number 1, go through everything and sort it out. Number 2, put like things together so they can be easily located, found, and you can evaluate and inventory exactly what you have. And then the third tip, measure that amount before you purchase any kind of bin, container, if you even need one. If you can eliminate even having to purchase something additional or put something into a bin, I mean, it's kind of a vicious cycle. You can really truly get caught up in, I'm going to buy another bin to put this in, I'm going to buy another bin to put this in. If we are controlling the mass and what we're bringing in, and we've inventoried what we have and we've taken away things that we no longer need, hopefully we've freed up enough space to accommodate what we have and given ourselves room to grow. But with crafting and supplies such as that, a lot of times you're constantly rotating that stock. You're going through it and you're replenishing it. So you want to try and find a very neutral place to place things that you are using on a continuous basis, something you can quickly get to it and use it, and then of course replenishing it, you will know by inventory before and when on average you will need to put anything back in place of it or to buy more of the supply. We usually have so much that we don't realize we have triplicatedly bought the same thing over and over, and we just need to use up our inventory and do with it. And then that way, if you don't feel like you're ever going to use it, you can pass it on or donate it somewhere to where someone can get some use out of it and benefit from it. Hopefully in your repertoire and your arsenal, you probably already have a container because you freed up space, and now you have a bin, a container, a shelf, a bookcase, somewhere that you're going to be storing it, and that's going to be its home where you will always be able to locate it and find it, and that'll make things really quick and your production a lot smoother. Because most people like us who are DIYers who do that and have craft supplies, we generally have plenty of plastic tubs, containers, crates that we can use, or fabric baskets, weed baskets, and things of that sort that we already have purchased, carriers, caddies, all kinds of different equipment that we've housed our supplies in. And a lot of times we will buy an item because we want the container that it's in, and that makes it easy for us to refill it and use it and apply it to multiple uses, whether we DIY it, flip it, and repurpose it, and then use the container for something else that we want to keep around as our supplies. So think those things through before moving forward. And just giving you an update, I truly want to make my work area more usable and have the ability to go in there, sit down, and complete the DIY projects, be able to videotape it, and be able to move around comfortably and not be tripping or pulling anything over or knocking things over trying to get to the supplies that I need to complete that project. And I know you'll enjoy that a lot too. I know I will, and it'll put me more at ease. And I can tell you this, once a body's in motion, a body stays in motion. So you find things moving very swiftly once you get in that motion of decluttering. It too is such a rush of feeling good and giving you energy and that new found liberation and freedom. Like, share, and subscribe, because we do a lot of this on the channel, as well as frugal money saving tips and putting more dollars into your household. Hey guys, Elizabeth here with Dandy Soap DIY, and we are going to do us a wreath to go on my front porch. You guys know I'm all about the mason jar, so I have selected the Lagoon chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm going to take and use this sign that I got from Dollar General. I made this grapevine wreath when I was cutting back my grapevine, so I'm going to actually paint this. So let's get this stuff out of the way and let's get started painting. So first thing I'm going to do is I've removed everything from off of this sign. I even took the hanger off, which was a piece of jute twine as well, or basically a thicker rope. And then I'm not going to disturb this heart on here, but this was just wrapped around it and tied, so I can put that back. But I know at a later date, if I want to rework my wreath, I will be able to do that. So basically, I'm just going to put a coat of the chalk paint over top of these words. And I haven't decided if I want to go back with the same thing or not. So I've given our sign 2 coats, and that's just to ensure that some of the lettering don't bleed through, because I'm going to actually write my own saying on this. So I'm going to set this aside and we're going to let it dry, and we're going to work on the wreath. Now guys, I have some lamb's ear that I got from Walmart, but I also have lamb's ear that I got from the Target dollar spot. And I love the greenness of this. I've got some eucalyptus. This sells for $2 at Walmart, and I've cut some off of it. I have two different lavenders. I have the Dollar Tree lavender, and I only have a couple of those. But these other ones I had gotten from Walmart for 97 cents. So I actually got those cheaper. The way I want to do my grapevine wreath is I've got it laying here, and it's fairly big. But I want my arrangements to kind of cascade around. And I'm actually going to use the Walmart lamb's ear just above, or laying here, so that it's kind of curving around. I've got the big lavender bundle, which I want to be the most showy. This is the lamb's quarter that came, or the lamb's ear that came from Target. I'm going to lay it there, and since I only have two of these, I really want them to kind of accentuate, so I'm going to lay it there so that it kind of pops out. So I finished up putting my florals onto my wreath, guys, and I filled it in, and it kind of worked out the way that, a little bit different than what I thought, and I ended up having to take some wire and tighten up my grapevine, simply because she's brand new and fresh, and she's only had a little over maybe 5 days to dry out, 4 or 5 days, because of all the rain we've had. So this is what I've got so far. Now there's a space here because we're going to put a bow on it, and then of course this area right here, when we get our sign ready, it is dry now. But in staging my wreath and putting it together, I've kind of laid out my lavender along with my lamb's ear, because I really want that lavender to be forthcoming and be the most showy. What I ended up doing is I used the lagoon to paint my jar. But then it looked too charred, bright for my wreath. So what I did is I went ahead and I painted it white, and I shaded out with a little bit of thinned out black. And then, to show you how I do my lettering, I take my ruler and I measure the width, which is 7 1/8. And I marked a center mark with a pencil. And then I take my pencil and I go ahead and write out what I want to say and how I'm going to line it up, and I counted my letters. So from my center point, and I just kind of sketch them out with a pencil, just so I know for placement it'll be easier. And I'm going to use a black paint marker. If you're unsure, or you're not sure if you're going to print or do cursive writing, I always test it out on a piece of paper and just see what you want to do first. And then, because I want to make sure that my pen is fresh and that my paint goes on really smooth, I'm actually using a new black paint marker. And then I'm just going to write my letters. And what I do is, my longest word is canning and blessing. So I will do those first, and then I'll go backwards and do the others. Even though with this being a paint marker, that might seem strange, but for me, that's going to be the best way. My sign just kind of blends in with everything. I created like some little lavender here, and I used the lavender paint marker to accentuate and put some accents all about the lettering. I also went in there and just put a little bit of white in there, and I did cursive writing as well as print, just to kind of give it a nice blend. And I am going to be putting the jute twine back at the top, and it's really neat how they had this. They basically just took the jute twine, and I can kind of see where it started because they need to tie it. And so they just wound the jute twine around the jar. So let's bring our wreath back up here so that we can kind of give it a look and see where I need to put my ties. Okay, I need one here and one here on the back. So now it's time to make our bow. And you guys, I just simply take and determine how wide I want the bow, and then I'll wrap it around itself, loop it, probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 times. And I'm counting how many times I went around. And then just clip it where you want. Now once you clip it, you'll get ready to maybe take jute twine or even some of the ribbon itself. But I usually tie it with a piece of jute twine. That helps to hold it in place and keep it snug so it doesn't shift or move and none of the loops come out. Now once I tie that jute twine, I'll clip off the difference, and I do a good knot on there. That way it's well and gathered. There's no looseness, no baggy. So you see me here just clipping off the little strings from the jute twine. Get that out of the way. And then just start separating your bows or your loops to make your bow. Then I take a little bit of the ribbon itself, wrap it around it, and you want to make sure it's enough to go all the way around to the back. Clip that, and then you're going to glue it down. So now you've got your bow situated and made, and now you can fluff it out and just kind of get it shaped up a little bit. And then you'll go ahead and shift it around, get it kind of shaped, round your bow out a little bit more. You'll be able to do better once you get it on the wreath. So now we're going to make a second bow out of the burlap with the lace. And we'll do the same thing, just loop it around 4 or 5, maybe 6 times, however big you want your bow to be, how many loops you want it to have. And as you can see, I took the burlap and just wrapped it around it and glued it into place. They have wire edges so they'll stay. And then once you get that glued down, you'll take and just twist it. So now I'm clipping off the difference. I'm going to flip it around. See how I've twisted that into place? Now I'm going to make another tail to go on it. And so I'll glue that extra little tail onto the back of it. And I kind of, if you watch, I kind of pleat it and bend it and fold it there so that it folds over and looks really neat. And then here I'm just dovetailing the tails. You just fold the wire to the left side, clip from the right to the left, and that makes your little dovetails. And now you just fluff it out and shape it. Now they're both ready to be glued into place. And I put one flow in the opposite direction as the other so they'll both be showy. I'm going to make the tails for the black one. And I basically took the difference from off of the ribbon roll that I had left. And I will, as you can see, fold the one across the other, glue it into place. And I always put a little glue there just so that stays doubled across and they're dangling on each side versus straight down. And the wire is so helpful in this. And now just putting our bows on and making it look real nice. And once you get both your bows on there, guys, you can fluff it out and make it look really, really pretty. And once again, dovetailing the tails. Now here's a method, is you'll watch me cross it around my fingers and roll it, and then just yank on it a little bit. Now I'm going to place the wires in those opposite corners with hot glue so that I can easily tie it onto the wreath. And then pretty much attach it to the wreath using those wires. That way I can always reuse that side too. And so now we're just going to tie her into place with the wire and making sure that lavender stays atop and looks really showy. That looks pretty snazzy. And she looks really, really cute. Here's the bow we made. Long tails. And the wreath could stand to be a little bit fuller, but it looks pretty good. And here's the saying that I wrote. To the next DIY, this is Elizabeth.